Hello, hello. Hello, hello. Welcome in. Here we are, back again. Uh, so I pitched an idea last week to capitalize on some of the buzz around Cult of the Lamb, popular new Twitch streaming game. Um, and here we are. People said, "Yeah, do it." So here I am. Yeah, doing it. Um, I'm not starting with one of the crazy ones because I need to stop and think about them. Yeah, do it. So I'm starting with one of the I feel like simpler ones. We'll see how it goes. I've got my beet. I only picked up one. So they've got a recipe. It comes with recipes. The recipe is 6 beets, 2 pumpkins, and 2 cauliflowers. And that's a lot. I've got 1 beet. Oh, 1 cauliflower. These things are massive. I don't recall these being this big. Um, so I have extra cauliflower. And I didn't buy a whole pumpkin because I hate those. But I've got half of an acorn squash left over, and I bought canned pumpkin. Now, I've been looking at these images of the foods. The basic vegetable dish is just pumpkin, and it's this bowl of brown goo. And that same brown goo appears in a lot of the recipes, a lot of the things, as a base for the stuff to pile on. Hi, Zizan. Um, So I feel like it's some kind of pumpkin porridge with stuff on it, because that same brown goo just keeps reappearing. Now it's also stylized little cartoony things, so we'll see. Uh, but I've got half an acorn squash. You may recognize it from when we did acorn squash rings. I saved it. It's a little bit dried out, but other than that, it held up really well. So maybe it'll provide us with some chunks. Uh, I was surprised. I thought that was going to go creepy when I didn't get back to it. Otherwise, flavoring seems to be completely up to me. Oh my god. I've got a raid right at the start. T. Davy, which I believe just goes by Davy. Welcome in. We're I just got here. I just kicked off. And thanks for the follow. Um, we are. I was just explaining what I'm doing today. We're making the fabulous vegetable feast from Cult of the Lamb. I'm trying to make that little image become a reality. Um, and I was explaining about the brown goo that appears to be. It's okay. You know, uh, good generic raid message. Um, hey, my own viewers, throw Davey back a follow. What were you doing, Davey? Tell us all about it. Um, oh, yeah, it's. I mean, people have been playing the game constant. I should probably at least start something instead of just standing here because the beet is going to take some time to roast. Um, here's the beet. It's big and weird, lumpy beet. But yes, people have been playing that game a ton, and I don't really do games, but they've got food, so I think I can capitalize on the food. How am I? I'm doing great. It's kind of warm. It's been really nice, so I've had my air conditioning off for some days, and it warmed up a little bit today, so it's a little bit toasty in here now. Um, so let's see if I can make the kitchen even hotter and make myself really uncomfortable. Also, this beet is kind of funny shape, so let's see what it looks like when I get in there. Oop. Immediately fell off the cutting board onto the, oh, God. Caution, beets stain. Shit. If I can't get that off of there. Yeah, okay, it's not set in yet. I can still get it up. Tell you what, we're gonna move the gentleman and Tiny Whisk and the wooden cutting board. We'll actually switch places so that it can stay there. Black cutting board is going to be our beet cutting location because you can't stain something that's already black. Tiny Whisk is always here for our pre-show. He hangs out with the gentleman. Well, this is a really red beet. Oh, I know. I know what I'll do. This is a fun one because then we get the fun reveal toward the end. How much of that do I need? And that expects a smaller beet as well. But that's fine. That's fine. I can work with that. Okay. Oven to 425. And I need to find proportions for this crust. We're going to salt crust the beets and then roast them in the salt crust. Because that makes a very nice beet, retains the color, and then I should be able to take nice slices off of it for the plating. And then I can think about making other stuff while. So 3 parts flour to 1 part salt to 1 part water. I can do that. Sorry, I had a reference recipe. Today we've pulled a recipe from the pants down, aprons on. My pants are going to stay up. Thank you, but I appreciate the sentiment. We need a bowl. So I've done this once before and it was delicious. We just need quite a lot of salt for it. So a 1/4 cup salt, and then it wants 150 grams flour. Or no, 3 and a half. Close enough. this same amount water. And then, the reason I got the scale out, we tear the scale, find my flour tower, because I keep moving it. And get it over to grams. And I don't think this is an exact science, so I'm going to do a dump. I overshot it. Okay. Put in 200 grams of flour and then scoop out 50 grams with your hand for maximum cleanliness. Put your scale away because we don't need that anymore. Never again, scale. Never again. And then this stuff becomes a dough. And I think I need to keep some extra water handy just to make sure that it's pasty enough to paste, because it's going to form a crust around our beet to give it a little, its own private oven. I need to splash more water. Just a splash. Gets its own private miniature oven inside of a full-sized regular oven. We don't need gluten development. We just need it to incorporate all the dry stuff. I think because I overshot on my dry stuff, I do need a little bit more than the quarter cup. Okay. This is not an eating dough. It probably wouldn't be terrible, but it's going to be very salty when we get to the end. Get beet out of my way. I don't really want to make a big mess on my board again. I think this is still too crumbly. And also, it might not be enough. It's a pretty big beet. In there, you. Again, we don't need a lot of structure with this. We just need it to be pliable enough to form a little, like, sarcophagus around our beet. It's coming together. Okay. Get you guys over there. I'm going to go ahead and roll this. What's that? Where did I put my rolling pin? Rolling pin. Rolling pin. I'm going to go ahead and try to roll this guy. partly we need to see if we can get this guy thin enough to have enough to actually cover our beet. Or will we have to make more? Oh, I think we're getting close. Yes, food sarcophagus. As you do. Fortunately, I think I can just pinch it together if it breaks, because there's no, because we're not trying to form like a gluten structure. We're just trying to, the flour is just there to make this whole thing stick together. I think if it was possible to do this with just salt, someone would have done it with just salt and water. Salt doesn't form a paste, it just forms a sludge. Okay, that guy can't live on that pan, though. Or can't live on the table, though. He's got to live on this pan. Let's see. You pick up a delicate dough by rolling it onto the pin. And then unrolling it wherever you intended to take it. Perfect. Beautiful. And then you take your beet and you pop it in the middle and you kind of push it down. And then you realize that we have definitely need some more dough. Well, it might be enough to push it up to the top from these parts where it overlaps. Okay. I did just break a chunk off deliberately to set aside. I think I will need it to patch the top. I think I can break a piece of this part off too. Yeah, okay. Yeah, okay. Make sure to squeeze the air pockets out of it. Check it for really egregious gaps like the one at the top. And use this extra to really patch in those cracks. There's one there. Because in my past experience, the stuff will, the juices coming out of the beet will try to escape in any tiny gap that you leave it. And you really want them to steam. And I think you're supposed to poke a little hole right in the very, very top, so that the heat rises through. Or I was looking at a picture, and yeah, they've got little holes poked right in the very tip, so that the steam will be able to escape through the top instead of exploding out randomly at one of these cracked seams. Apparently, I've got even more dough than I need. Good thing I didn't make extra, thinking that I wouldn't have enough. And my oven clicked, so as soon as I'm done playing with my Play-Doh here, this is basically Play-Doh, what I've made. If you've ever wondered how to make Play-Doh, I'm pretty sure that this is the classic Play-Doh. It's just wet starch and salt. That stuff's edible. Okay. Sharp poker, because I know the beat's hard. Just drive it in the top. We got a little tiny bit of this dough left. Okay. And my oven clicked, so I will put that in, and we're gonna. This? What the heck is this? This is a beet. This is a. Welcome in, bookwoman. You missed the start. We're making a thing from a video game. And this here is a beet wrapped in a sarcophagus of salt and flour. And we are going to bake it or roast it. You came in just in time to see it disappear, and we're not going to see it for an hour. It shouldn't explode. There's a vent hole in the top. It might leak out the sides if my dough structure isn't quite strong enough. But we will see. We will have to wait and see. So we got an hour on that. And then I need to think about the other two elements. As I mentioned, we've got some sort of brown sludge that is supposedly made of pumpkin. That's also going to need seasoning. There's the leafy trim, for which I've got spinach. These look a lot like the leaves, I think, around the edge. I didn't think lettuce was appropriate for this, so we've got spinach. And of course, I got to figure out what to do with the cauliflower. Which step one starts with taking it out of its plastic wrap. Because these guys, I guess, only come in plastic wraps. I was going to buy just a fresh one, but nobody has them. And this is a massive cauliflower. This is huge. I don't know what to do with all this cauliflower. The size of this beast. Trim edges off. Now, looking at the picture of the Splendid Vegetable Feast, it has a bunch of sliced rounds of beet, and then behind them are a couple of white lumps that look like the cauliflower. So the cauliflower is going to need to stay white for the end part. But I don't really want just plain cauliflower. It's got to have some flavor. And How do you like your cauliflower? Anyone in chat? I'm sure someone was a fan of cauliflower. What's your favorite method? And also, how do you start one of these? I kind of want to just lean and break one of these lobes off. That's got pink on it already. I also know that cauliflower will oxidize if you leave it out too much. I'm just not sure how to get into one of these. They're very tight. Aha. Okay. Okay. See how they're structured. A bunch of stems, but then like the white parts are these little bulges on the outside. Now you can eat it raw, so we don't necessarily need to cook it to death. And we've got enough time to think about some experiments too. They are really in there though. So we've also got enough cauliflower to think about some experiments. If I make one that's doesn't look right, I can try something else. Oop, dropping chunks. Hmm. Hmm. I mean, it doesn't have a ton of flavor. Trying to get these sort of undercut ones out of the middle there. Cut through that knob and break them off. Yeah, okay. They're not that hard to get at. Uh, yeah, it keeps fairly well. It's in the cabbage group, and the cabbages all keep pretty well in the fridge. The concern is that if I want to use it for things for aesthetics, it'll start to go a bit yellowy, um, just from the surface oxidizing. We need more than that. So we'll take another one of these stalks off. Okay. How do I want to cook them? Okay. I've got an idea. I've got an idea. Big pot. I've also got to think about the. Well, I've already sort of opened up a window on the side and just gone in there. I suppose taking the leaves away would have been an easier way to get into the middle. So I'm thinking I want to steam them and then toss them in a flavored dressing of some sort. I got to think of how much, because we're. Oh, the red bowl's over there. Now it's served in a red bowl. I don't have a bright red bowl. So I guess I'm going to. It's got to be a bowl because I've got to be able to structure the leaves around the outside. It should be a round bowl, so I guess I'm going to go with this guy. I wish he was red. If he was red, he'd be perfect for this. So we're going to have like a mound of those in the middle. So this will be plenty, I think. Of course, it's a feast as well. So should I just go all out with a giant dish? I only half thought this through, so that I could puzzle it out on the fly, and probably should have puzzled the other half a little bit more than not at all. Where's my steamer? There's my steamer. So I don't have a proper steamer. What I've got is a steel pot and one of these little guys, the fold out steamers. They're neat because they adjust to the size of the pot you've got. Make sure I've got enough water in there to steam them, but not enough to boil them. And the pot needs a lid, which this pot also does have. Whenever I steam stuff, I use this combination of this steel pot because I've got the lid for it. Because you want to keep the steam in there. The other thing I need to make for this is, of course, the pumpkin. And this is the part that I have the least handle on, I guess, and also I think is the most important. And also, since I've got half an acorn squash, these are hard to peel, I've found. This, I'm flustered. The cauliflower is not going to take very long, I think. So I'm going to actually push it over onto our sideboard here. Get this guy. I kind of want the pumpkin puree with like chunks of cooked acorn squash in it. But I don't know how to get this off of there. I'm going to brute force it. Gun, slicer. There you go. Easy peel by roasting it for a few minutes. Well, I've got a hot oven going right this moment, so I can do that without any fuss. I just need a pan. I know that a fully roasted squash just kind of comes out of its skin, but it's all like super soft. I want these to be sort of still lumps. But we can try that. I did already take the tip off, so maybe that will mess it up. I need a paper. I was looking in and talking. What I needed was a parchment. Put it the other way around, I guess, so it doesn't roll up on me. Let's pop that in. It's hot in there. I need to get I want to get the skin off, and then I want to cook it on the stovetop. Is what I hope to do. As you can see, I got a second pan out. Let's see what this pumpkin puree looks like inside this can too. While we're opening things up and discovering, the beet does still have its outer skin. You're supposed to leave the skin on when you salt roast it. That's part of that process. It comes right off the skin. Or last time, actually, the skin was softened enough that it was basically edible. But it also separated from the skin quite easily. But yes, the beet. All I did was top the beet. Took the top off to give myself a flat surface. This is what our pumpkin puree looks like. It's very firm. Well, it's actually not that firm. It's holds its shape, but it's soft enough to just poke with a spoon. Um, hmm. It sure smells pumpkiny. The pumpkin is the weird part of this combination. I would not have chosen pumpkin if I were just making a vegetable medley main course. Um, I did find unsweetened pumpkin intended for pies. So we're not making a dessert item, but the pumpkin's definitely the odd part, and especially given that the finished dish image, pumpkin, the finished dish image has no orange on it at all. So let's get that guy on low heat and warming. Microwave. Well, if it's not softened in a couple of minutes in the oven, I'll try the microwave. Um, let's see, everything's happening over there right now, so let's go over there and look at nothing happening because nothing's happening. This is the problem. We've only got 3 listed ingredients plus 1 in the image, and I've got to figure out what that means for the finished dish. I figure we're burning a little bit on the burner there. I'll let that smoke off before I start. I figure I'm okay to spice and sauce these things, but I don't think I should add a major component to anything. Uh, which is why I'm trying to limit myself here. We're going for a visual replication as well as a listed ingredients. I don't know how I would do the fish version of this because it's got a puffer fish in the listed ingredients specifically, and I'm not certified to prepare fugu, so wow, I must have something gross on there. It's still smoking a little bit, but I'm gonna go ahead and put that on there. So I want that to be a savory pumpkin mush thing. What flavors do I want to add to it? What flavors do you guys add to your savory pumpkin dishes? Ooh, that one could be good. Cheese. Hmm. Would that go against the spirit? of the Splendid Vegetable Feast. Because so far we have no non-plant things in it. And all the main ingredients are obviously vegetables. Ooh, Chinese 5-spice. Chinese 5-spice might make the cut. Touch of vinegar. It does seem like it needs some liquid. I've only got apple cider vinegar. I'm hoping it will do something instead of just get hot or like brown. I've never cooked pumpkin like this before. I have a very, very poor idea of what it's going to become. Vegetable broth. I've got some vegetable stock concentrate. I've also got some dashi concentrate. We could take this in an Asian direction, although that's got fish in it, so maybe I should save that. Okay. Water. Oh, I should have done this right in this jar, probably. There's just a smidge left. I have both celery and onion. And if I mince them up, I could leave them in there because you wouldn't be able to see them. Because the brown sludge has sort of a generic brown color, grayish brown color, but it's got dark brown spots and little brown speckles in it. So I believe I can get away with having visible speckles. But also, this has got to be solid enough to build a soup. So, or not build a soup, to build a thing on top of it. So I'm not going for a full-on soup here. We're going to have to re-thicken it at some point. But I can definitely add some things to it as it goes. Grab a celery. Slightly floppy outer stalk of this celery. The middle stalks are still nice and rigid. Well, I want to thicken it past the cornstarch. What I think cornstarch can do. I want it to be like a mashed potato thickness, but with flavor. Why is this one stalk so floppy? You don't need you. Should probably have myself over here on the countertop for my. Okay, so What you're saying is I should have started with the mirepoix, simmered that real soft, and then added the pumpkin on top of it. We can still do that. We can still do that. I'll just do that in another pan. We will actually do that in that location in another pan. Get this guy on. Get that guy on. Dab of oil. Keep switching sides here. So OBS just updated, and I haven't downloaded it yet, but I think I'm going to take advantage of that and redo some of my scenes. See if I can't iron out some of the kinks, some of the ongoing stupid kinks I've got. Some onion. Around the same amount, I think. Yeah, I've heard some people are unhappy with it because it broke all their plugins, but I only have one plugin, and it's the closed captioning. So I'm not worried about that. I just didn't want to update it. Like, it told me just before stream started today that, oh, there's a new thing. So I said, I'll do that later. I don't have any quinoa. I do have barley. I also have some rice. Quinoa. Why is that your go-to? Why is that your go-to? If we want to thicken it with barley, I'm going to have to put that in soon, because this stuff takes a hot minute to soften up to the point where you can eat it. Okay. All right. I don't think I've ever had quinoa. It comes up in those lists of like, these are the other grains that you're not eating. Alongside millet, couscous. I've never had couscous. No, sorry, I've never had millet. I've had couscous. And it's not a grain. It was lying to me. I feel like this is probably going to be thick enough without having to add a starch thickener to it. And I also feel like I'm going to have more than I know what to do with. Because this stuff is pretty thick. I think if I just cook it down a little bit, it'll re-thicken back to that mashed potato consistency. We'll see. I was going to throw a carrot. Yeah, leftovers of the pumpkin mix, I'm sure will be fine to use in the future. I'm not worried about using them. It's just the pot I'm making is going to be pretty big. So I don't know that it needs any additional bulking. We're gonna top and tail that carrot. Split the thick end. I love how you can have carrot and celery and onion and just call them aromatics and part of the seasoning. Yeah. These guys. Just kind of rough mince on the carrots. Get them in there. And we've got our mirepoix going. Ooh, and my pumpkin is already so thick that it's volcanoing instead of simmering. So heat down on it, I guess. Give it a taste. Huh. 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 It's not what I was expecting. Okay, let's get this guy out of there. Don't forget we had... It's hot. Oh, shit. I mean, I knew it was going to be hot, but it's like hot enough to go through my hot hand. Okay. Yeah, he was starting to go over. Get that paper off of there. That is going to be a problem. I didn't forget about the squash. But I am going to just... where do I put this? Got it. Silicone hot pads, and we're just going to slap it over here in the camera station until it cools off, so that it doesn't burn anything. Yeah, I don't really want to add a ton more because we've already got a ton going on. I think I can get that guy out of there. Let's see. Stir these guys around. Stir those guys around. Hit them with a pinch of salt. Oh, I know. Let the squash cool before I dive in on it. I was just saying when I pinched it with the clippers, it squished enough that I'm pretty sure I can get it out of there. Okay, bring this guy back to the front. Yeah, so it's already tastes like seasoned pumpkin. I don't think I want to add... I don't know. It's not bad. It's very baby foody. It's very baby food texture right now. And I think I want it to be a little bit thicker than that. I'm not sure how to accomplish that since it doesn't want to simmer. It wants to blurp and volcano. Hmm. What do you mean, well, duh? It wasn't baby foodie when I took it out of the can. It was like mashed potato. Don't you well duh me. Oof, that guy still needs to cool before I can get in there. So I guess we're just going to put the handle on the right side. I guess we're just going to push this around for a while, develop some flavor on it, and then combine our elements. Oh, damn it. Okay, that's a problem. The way it goes is it just starts volcanoing out of one spot. It's much too thick to simmer. Um, and then it spits on me when it does. Eh, dropped some onions on my worktop here. Close enough. Good enough. Um, hmm. So it's heated through. It's just that it is not the consistency I was hoping for. I was hoping for a more mashed potato consistency, which I think I could probably get back to if we did add some starch to it, which we were discussing. So we may have circled back to let's figure out how to add some starch to it to bring it back. I don't know. I should take a peek at that beet, make sure it hasn't exploded. It's got a little nipple on the top poking out, but the shell looks intact. So far so good in on there. Mince up some cauliflower for the pump to thicken the pumpkin. That's an interesting idea. Turn that one off. That's an interesting idea. It's an interesting idea. I don't know if cauliflower. I know you can use it in place of rice and also pizza crust. So maybe minced cauliflower. Thicken. Can I use cauliflower as a thickener? Oh, interesting. Cauliflower. Okay. Interesting. So this is cauliflower cream sauce, which is supposed to mimic a bechamel and be used in place of it. And a bechamel would thicken my sauce there, or my pumpkin there. I've already got the cauliflower. Interesting. Interesting. Move that guy over. Push those around because they just still sweating. sweating out. Okay. Um, can I do that? 10 minutes of boiling, 20 minutes of boiling, 10 minutes of resting, and then puree. And it wants to use a ton of it. I don't need a ton of it, so I can probably use it in a small pot. So that's what I'm going to try to make. This recipe from Life's a Strawberry is called Magic Cauliflower. What's it called? Magic Cauliflower Cream Sauce. And it just wants boiled cabbage, basically. Um, there. Using all the burners today. Okay, so I just need to mince up some cauliflower. I did. I just checked on the beet. It looks fine. It's developed a little bit of a red nipple at the top, where I poked the hole for the steam vent. But the sides of the sarcophagus are all intact, and the tray underneath it is not swimming in beet juice. So I believe it has not sprung any leaks. I can peek at it again. I don't see any leaks, which is good because I didn't put any leaks in there. Gonna have to break out some more florets to replace these ones that I've minced up. Hoping by mincing them up, I will speed the boiling of them a little bit. Get these guys in here. Dropping several of them around the sides. Definitely should have transferred these to a bowl and then to the pot. You've never had dinner that was a sarcophagus nipple? Everything is hot over here. Okay. Well, using the cauliflower keeps me truer to the recipe than using a grain. So I think this is a solid idea. We've got some time left on the beet anyways, and it's a very large beet, so I'm going to definitely leave it in there for the full time. And maybe actually go over a little bit. It seems like one of those methods that's hard to over and easy to under, so err on the side of more cooking. It's much easier than trying to take the whole cutting board over there. Okay. And I'm not going to put stock. This is the Splendid Vegetable Feast. Or what is this specifically called? This is going to be my magic cauliflower cream sauce. The dish we're working towards is the Splendid Vegetable Feast. This squash is now cool enough to get out of there, or cool enough to handle, so let's try to get it out of there. Take it straight in half and see if I can't get the skin to come off in one big sheet. Uh, which thing? You didn't know which was a thing? The cauliflower sauce or the Splendid Vegetable Feast? The Splendid Vegetable Feast is a dish from recently released hit game Cult of the Lamb, which we see a lot of people playing here on the old Twitch. And I'm attempting to recreate it in real life using as close to the actual listed ingredients as I can, and as close to the actual appearance as I can, which is why I've got myself some strange limitations, which is why we're making something with pumpkin and beets and cauliflower. This has softened up to the point where I can get the skin off pretty easily. Because I asked last week if people would be interested in seeing me try to make a Cult of the Lamb recipe, or I suppose other video game recipes. It's just that that's a currently popular game, and you gotta chase those trends, you know. Oh, somebody followed me. Thank you for the follow. I need to put together a suggestion box or a poll. Figure out what people would actually like to see me make instead of just me going nuts or showing up with no idea and head empty cooking. How are you guys? Are you browning excessively? No, you're a nice mirepoix. So a nice mirepoix, uh, the French style. This is not minced finely enough to be a French style. because I don't care enough to bother with all that incredibly pedantic French cookery. But your mirepoix is your classic combination of celery, onions, carrots, a little bit of salt, low heat to draw all the moisture out and really kind of enhance the natural flavors of those things. And it forms a base of quite a few classic dishes. And then I'm going to ruin it by dumping a whole bunch of par cooked acorn squash right on top. Because I'm lying to myself and saying that the celery, onions, and carrots are just seasoning for this nonsense. This is a decent shout. Whoever suggested thickening, Cizan, suggested thickening with cauliflower. I would not have thought of that, and it's a good way to get cauliflower into another part of the dish. Uh, I think the weirdest of all the things that I've made today, that I'm making today, a mashed pumpkin stew base, uh, a cauliflower cream sauce, and a sarcophagus beet. The weirdest part of this dish is going to be the circle of raw spinach leaves around the outer edge. Ooh, pardon me. I don't have the picture handy, but if anyone is curious what I'm looking at for the picture, I need to. I don't know how to. Okay, I don't know how to make the. Can you see my mouse when I do that? I can't tell. I've never used the virtual camera before, and I'm unclear as to what part of the screen it's grabbing. Oh, thank you for the moisten. Moist. Uh, well, I linked the picture on my Twitter. I will figure out how the virtual camera works, I think, not live. I linked a picture of what I'm making on my Twitter. It looks like a pile of leaves and beets and cauliflower. The only reason I'm putting pumpkin is because I've looked at the other things, and I know that they use the pumpkin sludge as a base, a generic base. I didn't end up putting any spices in this. Pepper. Stir around. Well, I hope this thing tastes. I hope this bottom part that I'm making tastes good because it's going to be the bulk of the dish. Okay, I've lost track of how long the cauliflower was simmering for. It needs to be tender enough to blend. So, grab a tasting spoon. And get a bit of it. I said, get a bit of it. Not bigger chunks, just to. Come on. There you go. One of these bigger chunks to give it a test. Ooh, immediately got pink stuff on it. It's tender firm. I would eat it at this level of doneness. Got a lot of weird side recipes pulled up. I'm gonna take it off the heat. I'm gonna turn the heat off and let it stop bubbling. I set that knife aside because it's got purple on it, and I don't want to purple everything. Okay. I want to get that cauliflower blended in there with the mirepoix and the squash before I add the rest of it. So, and I do have a cooldown on my moisten now, after the threats of being forever moist. Okay. Blender. And I don't think I can put this in there boiling hot. So, because this isn't a like high temperature blender. It's just a normal blender. It's got a lot of water spotting on it. The, the top of my blender is just plastic. I think if I put too hot of stuff in there, it would just melt. So do need to let the. Okay. I feel like we have once again reached kind of an awkward middle phase. That guy's going on the back burner on low heat. This guy's moving over to this burner. And we're going to bring him to a boil, but a low boil. That guy's just going to have to sit there and chill out a bit. I'm going to prep another chunk of cauliflower florets because we need some florets to top this thing. And we've decided earlier they were going to be steamed. And now that we've gotten the first one out, these subsequent ones are much easier to get at and break free in nice, big, solid pieces. And I'm on the wrong angle again. We're over here. There's stuff happening on both ends, but the thing I'm actively doing now is over here. So we're over here. I'd like to break these at the stem rather than cutting through the floret so that they keep their nice lumpy tops and not have straight edges. Take another couple out of the middle, probably. And then we're going to concoct some kind of dressing, something flavory to put on the cauliflower, because it's, as it's described in the game, looks like brains, tastes like paper. Cauliflower by itself does not have a ton of flavor. Okay. I'm going to take these florets, get them out of the way by putting them directly into my steamer basket. And then we can just keep an eye on them. And by keep an eye on them, I of course mean that we're going to come back over here, center up my blender, drop some of my cauliflower. Who knew cauliflower could be so versatile? Dropped some bits of it. Go in there. Oh, a couple of those were not from that. They were from when I broke it down. I guess there's going to be chunks. I guess there's going to be a couple of chunks. And then we, brace yourselves. I don't remember how loud this is. We blend. We'll take a look at it. Very steamy. Huh. That actually blended quite nicely. I don't see any pieces. Okay. Chalk that up to that's a thing you can do. We're going to put that in there. As well as we can. Okay. We put that in there. We stir it around, get it nice and in there. And then we combine in our pumpkin. Yep. Slop some of it on the worktop at the last moment. And we stir that all together until homogeneous. Well, homogeneous except for all the chunks that are in there. I just bumped the camera stand. Hope that didn't shake up too much. Probably on the wrong. No, I'm not on the wrong angle. I'm on the right angle for a change. And then we're going to pop a lid on that. So that when it inevitably starts volcanoing, it volcanoes itself into its own lid instead of all over me. Not the prettiest stuff in the world, but I do believe it's going to be tasty and it's going to form a good structural base for the rest of this nonsense. And I believe we're coming up to the point where I should check on that beet. Ooh, we cracked. There's a tiny puddle of beet juice on my baking paper. Not a ton, but a tiny puddle. Our sarcophagus is broken. The evil has escaped. Okay. Those guys are out of commission for the day. All my elements are coming together. I should taste the pumpkin mixture now while I still have time to add to it. Pumpkin-y. Subtle sweetness. Doesn't taste salty. I don't think it needs salt either. So I think we hit the nail on that one. I did notice when I took the lid off here that it is separating some liquid on the surface. So I think I actually want to leave the lid off until it does start volcanoing, and then we'll see. It tastes like pumpkin soup, but thick. Honestly, I don't think it needs anything. I don't know how well it's going to play with these other things I'm putting on top of it, but I don't think it needs anything. That's too hot. So I guess I'm just going to leave it alone and hope that it can thicken itself a little bit. Flavors get to know each other a little bit better while we prep everything else. While we finish prepping everything else. The beet should be just about done. That there. It's going to stand on this for a minute while it cools, but then we're going to have to crack it open, which is a fun part of doing a sarcophagus beet. I put it in at 38. No, I put it in at 28. Oh, I should have set a timer. Oh well. Oh, and the wooden board is not going to be used for cutting the beet because it's going to leave some horrific stains. The nylon board is white. I was going to use this black sheet to actually cut my beet. Loose chunks off of it. We don't actually, we hardly ever actually use the black sheet as a cutting surface. It's usually only a color corrector because the camera doesn't like the completely white surface. The issue is I don't want to take the beet out early. It's quite a large beet, and I want it to be softened through to the middle. I don't want to take it out early because I can't check it without breaking into the sarcophagus, and then you can't put it back on once it's broken. Oh, the pumpkin stuff is actually developing a proper simmer and not just a weird volcano, I will allow that to occur in the middle there. Thick enough to hold its sides up when I push it aside, so that's pretty good. Does anyone know what the internal temperature of a roasted beet should be? Because that I could check without breaking the sarcophagus, because I've got my vent hole. Hold them at 185 for 90 minutes is what this website says. I don't think I've got that. Hopefully I've got it hotter than that in there, though. But I can take a poke in the top. There's my folding. Okay, we're going to do that. We're going to take it out. We're going to poke it in the top. You guys can see what I've been seeing. This weird thing. There it is. It doesn't look a lot different. It developed a little nipple at the top, and there's a tiny bit. Oh, there's the split right there. Cracked right at the bottom. If I... Oh, okay, it cracked because it sealed its own vent hole. It's 184, 83, 82 in the center. It was also still quite firm. I'm going to let that continue baking while I do other things, but it can't be in there too much longer because I'm going to need it real soon, because we're coming up to that time when I need to start assembling. So it gets to be in there until the cauliflower is tender, I guess. How's the cauliflower? Is it tender? It might be right now. That cauliflower is tender. I'm taking it out of there. Oh, I'm taking it off the heat. Okay, that cauliflower is ready. It needs a dressing of some sort, which I guess I'm just going to do a drizzle over the top of the whole thing, but it can't be super visible. Olive oil, cider vinegar, some fresh black pepper, some pinch of salt, and some Chinese 5-spice. Tiny whisk together. Yes, Tiny Whisk. Tiny Whisk is back. Or was Tiny Whisk never left? Burner off. Those guys need to come out of there, but gently. Where did I put my big clipper? Did I throw it back in? That was foolish. Let's gently get these guys out of here. They need to cool off enough that I can handle them. They're tender but still firm because they need to have some structure because they're going on the top. Okay, those guys are ready to go. I feel like that stuff's going to be ready whenever I need it. I'll just scoop some of the less wet parts, and they should be structurally what I'm looking for. Pour my gross water out. And pan's still too hot. Okay. Hey, Felix. Yep, Tiny Whisk did a thing. We made this dressing. The sarcophagus beet has to come out. We can't wait any longer. For those of you following along at home, I suggest you go back to the beginning and use a smaller beet. I think the sheer girth of our beet is part of our problem here. He did split. I don't know if you can see it. You probably can't because of the angle. It's split right there. And we leaked a little bit of juice onto our board. Otherwise, it looks fine. Funny that it split at the bottom. I was sure it was going to split at one of these weird patches. It's a very girthy beet. I probably should have gotten a smaller beet. Oh, thank you for the moisten. Moist. Okay. He needs to get off of there because he needs to cool off a bit, and there's residual heat coming from the pan, or the sheet pan. So, we're moving you there. Take you back over here. Then we can lift off the paper and discard. And then we can take that and just pop it on top of that. Move that guy to the burner that's in the front where I have the easiest access to it. Heat on but low. And that can sit in the background while I use this angle. It's hot, and it won't cool off properly until I get it out of the sarcophagus. So we need to break it. Can you hear that? Our dough is definitely baked. I have a tool for this. I have the actual tool for this. Tiny food hammer. Cameras. It's quite hard. There you go. Eh. It's hot enough to the touch that I can't just hold it. Get off of there. Ha ha! Behold the bloody interior of my sarcophagus. Nice. Now that I've got started, I think I can just take these off in chunks. Ooh, because there's a lot of steam inside of there. Oh, there you go. The bloodiness is very appropriate for our Cult of the Lamb theme. Get it over here. And I managed to, of course, get a bunch of red goo on that board anyways. My one concern is that it is so large that it may not be softened through to the middle. And I think we're just going to have to deal with whatever I find in there. But now that's got the casing. So what this thing does, is you can see how much steam is coming out of it. This guy traps that steam inside with the beet. So it uses the beet's own water to steam itself in the oven. And the shell is very salty. So it lightly, actually, it's amazing how lightly it seasons it. It lightly seasons the beet. But it also extracts some of that earthiness that some people find off-putting in beets, so it mellows out the beet doing it this way. Just peeking at my pumpkin. Thin knife. My thinnest knife. It's already cool enough to put my hands on. Soft to the middle, as far as I can tell. Probably should not have just jabbed that in randomly, because this is meant to be cut into rounds. It needs to cool off a little bit, so that I can take the skin off. I don't know what you can do with the outer part here. It's salt, flour, and beet juice. Let me give it a taste. Huh. If you like bread that is at the same time gummy, crunchy, and so salty it makes you cry, and tastes nothing like beet, this is the stuff for you. I know it's just Play-Doh. I was hoping that I could take a picture of this. I was hoping that the beet would have provided something to it. It did not. I am actually going to do that. I'm going to restage this with the broken shards. See if I can't catch it steaming. It's cooked through, so we're good to go with it whenever I feel like it's cool enough to peel, which is pretty much as soon as I can touch the outside comfortably. Oh, I think that stuff might be saltier than Play-Doh. Try to make this not something behind it that I can see the steam. Because it just doesn't, the steam doesn't show up on my. I know exactly what I need to do. I need to rotate the whole thing. Okay, one of those will probably come out. The the adage of me taking food photos. One of them will probably come out. Okay. Our pan from our acorn squash is cool. I'm putting it away. Our pumpkin mixture is trying to shed its excess moisture, so that's what I want. The hull of our sarcophagus here is garbage. It's inedibly salty and does not taste like beets. It just tastes like it's an inedibly salty piece of bread. This is getting to the point where I can touch it. It bleeds. It bleeds immediately when you touch it. I think before. Okay, no. I don't want to cut that now. I want to slice that immediately before I put it in the plate because I don't want to get that juice any more everywhere than it already is going to be. Which means I need to start constructing my bowl now. Here's our bowl. And the weirdest part, as I said, of this whole thing, the circle of leaves. Oh, they're popping up. I guess I need to figure out where they're going to sit. And then break them. So they just stand up. I'm just snapping the stems. Because the problem is that the stems are still springy because it's fresh. If I snap them, then they can stand up. And I want the stems in there so that when I put the rest of the stuff in there, it they don't like float around too much. They're still connected to their stems, so the pumpkin puree will hold them down. Some of these with slightly shorter stems too. That would be helpful. Okay. Pumpkin off. Scooper. This is so weird. I also expect the pumpkin to wilt them, so we have to work quickly now that we've started. Okay. You there. You set down that knife. If I do half rounds, I won't have to sink them in. Oh, man. Look at that. Gorgeous. Still hot, hot, hot. On the inside. I'm gonna make a little nest of these guys. I think if I'd done 2 beets that were half the size, I could have done this perfectly. I think that's my only regret in life. Squish in, you guys. That one. Just really. Cut that one funny. Gotta remember not to touch anything for a little bit. Okay. Can I get one more out of this? It's tender enough that I can just kind of eat it. So, okay, now clean my hands so that when I touch the cauliflower, it does not immediately turn pink. Relatively clean. And then I just kind of plunk them in the middle and create a little mound where you can't see the pumpkin at the bottom. This is strange Certainly a strange way to cook. All that effort into that one thing, and then you can't even see it. There you go. I'm going to take photos now before I dress the top. And then I'm going to put that dressing on the top. Take some photos. See if I can't get some good angles on this thing. Well, it definitely has a front and a back. Okay, coming back. Coming back. Here's the thing. It's back. So there's no sign of anything dressing the cauliflower in the game picture. So I wanted a shot with the nice, clean, white cauliflower. But I think that would be a very, very dull eating experience. So I'm dressing it with our 5-spice vinaigrette. Chinese 5-spice vinaigrette. A little bit of cleanup. Back to the photo station. Not as many photos because I don't think this is going to be the headliner when it's got the dressing on it, but it doesn't look that bad. Okay. Finally, I will come back. I come back again one last time. Switch back to having my face. And let's see if this splendid vegetable feast lives up to the promises of 50% chance of increasing loyalty and +5 faith. I'm not sure how to get it. I'm not sure how to start this thing. The beet, here, I'll try some just naked beet. The beet is faintly salty. It's definitely saltier near the skin, but it's faintly salty overall. And it doesn't have that earthiness that people find beets off-putting with beets. Honestly, I think probably should have gotten 2 small beets. I think this big one has less flavor than a small one. I don't know if that's common with beets. I have not had enough experience with beets to know the difference. The dressing is quite good with the cauliflower. Which is nice. The pumpkin stuff at the bottom is the star of the show, actually. I was not visually, but flavor wise, this stuff is great. I'm going to add some more as I eat it to balance out the rest of the stuff. And raw spinach is raw spinach. Tastes like raw spinach, leafy, green. Tastes leafy and green. I could taste some raw spinach and just tell you what I think it tastes like. It tastes like not much of anything. Raw spinach has very little flavor. Um, when you make something with spinach, you got to put a lot of it in there, and then it shrinks up, and you get not much result in order to get that flavor. It's pretty much just garnish at this thing. Yeah. So that's our show. Because that's the thing. I made the thing. I think it looks pretty much like the. I took liberties. I took a liberty of assuming that the beats went all the way around, and we're only seeing one side of them in the. I feel my faith increasing. Yes. Yes, I do. +5 faith. I don't think I got. I don't think I got the. I don't think I got the 50% chance on loyalty, but definitely got the +5 faith. And we avoided throwing anything in there that wasn't a vegetable. This is 100% vegetable and salt. So it's, I'd have to double check that nothing is like weird vegan thing, but this might be a vegan dish. Well, it's a bit hot, so I'm not worried about diving in on it right now, because that beet was still quite hot when I cut into it. But this will be good, and I'll have to remember tomorrow not to freak out when I pee red, because a beet does that. For those of you following along at home, don't be concerned when tomorrow the toilet's all red. It's the beet. You're fine. It's the beet. This red stuff is really hard to get rid of. Um, Anyways, yes, that was our dish. I think I did a solid job. Um, Cult of the Lamb has a bunch of other dishes that we could try. The two that I have been chatted with the most are people who want to see what I could do with minced follower meat, and people telling me, please don't do bowl of poop. Me personally, I have more ideas for how to make bowl of poop work than I do for minced follower meat, but we'll see. Yeah, this was like recreating a video game food item was an interesting twist. Um, and I might try that again. I will have to create some sort of way to receive polling or feedback or suggestions from the audience, and we can pick people's favorite options and make those. Um, yeah, so let's go see what we can raid. And okay, wouldn't you know it? None of the people I follow are playing Cult of the Lamb right now. So we can't actually, unless we go into a complete random, we can't go check out the game that this is from. That's awkward. Let me pull up Twitch itself and see what I can see. I don't know any of these people. If any of you have a raid suggestion right now, please jump in with it. I'm looking for a channel to raid us off to. In lieu of suggestions, I do have an idea. He's not playing this game, but he's just started a new day, and it's Tuesday. So I've never gotten to raid So Ever Dream before. So I think, unless somebody comes in with a top-notch suggestion, we're gonna go see him. I know him as Billy. I don't believe that's his real name. But let's all go say hi to Billy. I will make a raid message. Go ahead and copy that when we land in his stream. Go ahead and paste it. Thanks for the moistens. Thanks for the follows. Thanks for the raid right at the start. Always a good way to kick off a stream. And thanks for sticking with me through this nonsense that I personally don't think looked like it was going to come together until right at the end when it came together. So, yeah. I'm not going to run the timer out. 3, 2, 1, raid. Oh, I didn't even start the timer. Okay, well, that explains why it wasn't counting down. I forgot to start the timer on the raid. So let's do that now. Thanks for being here. 3, 2, 1, raid.